Hello. Hello, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for being here and ready to go. I think it's this, honey. There we go. Okay. Sorry, just a little bit of housekeeping, fixing some colors and, lightening up the screen for you and all that goodness. Okay. Let's see what we have going on in the chat. As you can see, we are doing the Griffin tonight. Oh, look at that. Barbara's got it all ready. Okay, so Barbara will go over the colors that I chose first. So, because I'm using Copic, Ohuhu markers will be Thursday night. But you'll be able to, I'll give you time to pull yours while I talk about everything else. So, got sidetracked. Yeah. Marvelous. Can't wait to see what. And Ellen's in it. Hello, Ellen. Hello, Barbara. Hello, Carla. Hello, Karen. Susie, Beth. Welcome, everyone. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to all open transparency. I did just take a nap and woke up like at 7:30. So I'm just trying to get myself together. I'm going to talk about the details of what we're going to use here in just a minute, but let's go over the Copic colors we're going to use. I limited it for you. So it's only going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 markers. Wow, look at us. We're going to color this in 9 markers. It's going to be so much fun. Okay, so for the first set of colors, this is what we're going to do with his beak and his feet. We are going to use the kind of like a golden yellow, if you will. So I'm going to use Y28, which is this gold-ish color. And then I'm also going to use YR23, which is a little bit of an orangey yellow. I'm going to go over the golden and extend out so that those two colors kind of mix together to create this brownish orange. And then I'm going to use YR21, which has a very slight orange color, but mostly light, like a peachy brownish color. So anyway, that is going to be the color combination for the legs and the beak. So there you go. And those again are Y28, YR23, and YR21. Those are the 3 colors we're going to use for that area there. And then tonight, we're not going to make the standard orange-ish color Griffin. We're going to make our Griffin is going to be in a blue-green, blue-ish color. So we're going to make him a little bit out there, a little bit different, because you can follow the same technique and pattern with whatever color you want. So why not make it whatever color I want? Hello, Pam. Hi, Tammy. So I have decided to go with some BG colors. So I have the BG 78, 75, and 72 sequence. So it's like a blue-green, but on the darker side. It's not a bright blue-green. We're going to use these shades right here, these 3, to color in the lion back half of the Griffin. And we'll use more of the 2 darker and then highlight with this. And then I'm going to give you the other 3 colors that we're going to add in, but I'm not going to swatch them out because you're just going to have to see how they go as we do them, because we'll be mixing them together. So I grabbed a W3 because I want to put that underneath as a base coat underneath this to make this part darker than what we're going to color this, because we're going to use these same colors on all the feathers and the head, but we need this to be a little darker. So we're going to underpaint with this W3 to deepen the color that will be here versus what's here. Then I grabbed 2 more colors, and these are in the fluorescent family. Don't feel like you have, if you don't have the fluorescents, oh no, it's not going to work. You can still use any blue in this area. So the fluorescent blue 2, it's just like a light, I know they'll have something like this in Ohuhu. It's just like a light blue, almost like what it would be if it was dark. It would be like a royal, but this is a little bit lighter, so it kind of starts rolling into the ocean-ish color, or I kind of see my oceans as a blue-green, so maybe more like a sky. But that's the fluorescent blue, and we're going to use that on the eyes. I want the eyes to really stand out when we get done. Then I also pulled the fluorescent blue-green 2, FBG2, and it looks like this color right here. And it's lighter version of this, a little bit more like ocean than this. Is more like sky. This is more like ocean blue. But we're going to use this one for the eyes, just as I spoke before. And I think we're going to introduce this one as tips on the tips of the feathers around his face to kind of brighten up the edges. So that is it. For the body and the hair, we have these 6 colors. So I have the BG 78, 75, 72 with an underpaint of W3. And then I have the 2 fluorescents, FB2 and FBG2. So that is, so as you can see, it's going to be a variety of blue-green colors.
For Susie recommended B80 and B70.
Okay, good. Susie says B80 looks similar to the FB2, and B070 looks close to the FBG2. So there you go. That should help you with the fluorescent ones. And pay attention to the chat, because Susie pops in those numbers if you need them. So while you're continuing to pull your markers and get ready for tonight, which I'm super excited about, I'm going to check the chat real quick. Fairy Now Mother's here. Yay. Hello. And then I'm going to talk about the elements that we're going to use tonight. So I'm going to use, of course, the Fantasy Realm paper pad. Love this paper pad. And I chose this pattern paper. It's kind of like a little picnic area. Let me see if I can pull one out for you so you can see what it looks like, because I've already cut mine down. So it looks like this. Got a castle in the background, mushrooms. It's a fantasy realm area. It's a fantasy picnic. And this is the paper that I chose. You can choose whatever paper you want, but this is the one that I wanted to use because I feel like he just fits perfectly right in the center of that. So I grabbed myself this, I guess they call this like a label die because of the shape. I think I may have gotten these from Stampin' Up! A long time ago. I'm not really sure where they came from. I didn't keep the packaging, so I don't really know. But you can find this kind of shape all kinds of places. It has stitching. So I cut my pattern paper like this. So it's in that shape. That's the die I used. And then there's stitching around the outside. And I just cut sort of in the center of that page. So I still have the castle. I don't have the big trees, but I still have the picnic blanket.
I'll ask if you're going to be doing the Pegasus on Thursday.
Yes.
In Ohuhu.
Yes. And you'll need more colors because we're going to use some rainbow-ish colors on our Pegasus. So be ready for that on Thursday. And then, so I cut this, but what I did was I kept the pieces that were cut away. So I originally thought I was just going to cut it in a matted form for the back of the card. And then I cut that piece out of the center of these. And I kept these two pieces because I want to see if maybe we can somehow like overlap the edges just a little bit, keep them on the card, pop this up. So we still kind of have the use of those rather than a blank outline behind the card, but you'll see what I mean when we get to that part. So I also have some foam sheets out because we'll need that. I picked a matting paper color. I picked green because we're going to do the guy in blue. So I felt like we'd pull the green out of the background since we're pulling the blue for our Griffin. And then, of course, a white piece of paper to put on the inside of the card. So those are the pieces we have. I have several sentiments. I couldn't decide which one I wanted, so I cut a whole bunch of them. Hello, take flight and chase your dreams, or wings up, it's time to celebrate you. So however I feel when I get there and however much space we have left, I'll put one of those three sentiments on there. And we'll probably put a little bit of bling. But I wanted you to know what all we were using. So if you wanted to craft along, you could pull those things out as well. So for those who don't know, this is Take Flight. This is part of the set that we're working with this week. This will be our Tuesday night live. This will be our Thursday night live, but I will color it different than that. So that's the stamp set. And then the Fantasy Realm paper pad we're using for almost all of those lives. So you can see the paper in action. And now we're ready to go. Are you guys ready to go? I'm ready to go. I see Barbara and Susie talking back and forth on the colors. So I'm going to start real easy on the part that will make it really easy for them to catch up. So we'll start with the beak and the feet, and then we'll move on to the body, and then we'll move on to the feathers and stuff, which is where we'll want them to be caught up at that point. Okay, so zooming in. Darkening the lighting just a little bit so it's not too bright for you guys, so you can really see what I'm doing. I'm going to straighten the camera a little and focus in so we can totally see what we're doing. Try to lock that focus. Okay. So we are going to start up for the claws. I think I'm going to keep them in a similar color to the body. So we're going to skip the claws for now and just do the little legs and the beak. Oh, yes. Susie has the old Ohuhu numbers. Susie, did you know that you could get the new numbers on the Ohuhu site in sticker form? It's free to download the conversion colors if you want to switch to the new colors. I don't know if you do. If you don't, it's fine. But every time I do it, I'll be using the new colors because those are the ones that I have. So you choose you, boo. All right, here we go. I said we would start with the beak and the feet, so that's what we're going to start with. Yes, it's very easy. I have a friend who did it. You just buy these teeny tiny little circles. I think they tell you exactly what kind of paper it is, or you could do it on a full sheet of sticker and then just punch it out with a little punch, but it gives you all the numbers so that you can just stick those little pieces over the cap that you have in your Ohuhu. So your new numbers match all the numbers for the people who are using them now that have the new numbers. I put both numbers on the practice book because I just didn't know who was going to have it and who wasn't. And I didn't want people who had old numbers to be sad and disappointed, but they are in the order of the new numbers, not the old numbers. So it'll be a little harder to find the old numbers on the swatches in the book because they're not in the old number order. They're in the new number order. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the back of this beak. And we're just going to go right along the back and over the bridge of the nose. That part's real close to his body, so it's going to be a little bit darker. I'm also going to do a small thin line underneath the mouth just to keep that a little bit darker as well. And then we're going to move down to these legs. There are some artist drawn lines on there, so I'll show you what we're going to do with that. We're going to go along the back side of each of the feet first. And I'm just using a line in this case right now because there's such a small area. I'm going to go in between each toe, almost at an angle so I get enough color in there. Well, I don't need to go that. You can't even get between that toe. And then I'm going to just go over these artist drawn lines and maybe extend them just a tad, just so they stand out a little more. And I'm going to stop right there with this color. Having a hard time converting them. I may type a list so I can search in Excel. I think I have them in Excel form already, Barbara. I don't know that I'll remember after this, but if you send me a personal message, I'll look and see. But I think I already put them all in Excel. I just can't remember if I put them by new number or old number, but I'm more than happy to look. And if I already have it, I'm more than happy to help you. Okay, YR23 is next. So I'm going to go over and extend where I put that original color. And I'm going to extend about halfway down the beak, not all the way, but about halfway. And then I'm going to come along the bottom edge of the beak and just add some of that color in there. The rest of it we'll leave for the last color, but for now I wanted to at least get that part in there. Thanks, that'd be great. I will send you a message. If not, I can type it too and share. Yeah, I mean, no need to retype it. It takes a long time, and if you get a typo, that's kind of a bummer. But oh, Danielle, the ones from Michael's don't fit into any of the specific sets. They are chosen colors agreement with Michael's, so they're not part of any set. It's kind of unfortunate, but they're sort of random. They're not going to match up with any. There's no way to buy additional sets if you buy the Michael's one to get your full collection without a bunch of duplicates. So, okay, we're going to start by coming from the back of this foot and just extending. And then I'm going to go over that artist drawn line right there between the toes and right along the toenail area, just like that. And then, of course, under here. And then I'll leave the rest for the highlight color. I'm going to repeat exactly that same thing here. I will try to do the marker colors ahead of time and put them in the description rather than putting them after. I will try to do that in the future. It's just hard for me sometimes. So be sure to check that, because if I have time. Right now we're working on the new release for the next month, and I've been working day and night to get all of that artwork drawn out and prepared and submitted and all the good things. And so I've been a little tight on time lately. Sorry, my nose is running a little bit. I don't have a cold, just allergies. I took my allergy meds, but just now before the live. So, okay, YR21 is next. So we're just going to keep coming from here and spreading down to the tip of the little beak. Just working anywhere where there's an obvious line so you can get it smoothed out. Now you can definitely see there's some here. I'm not going to go all the way down to the end of the beak again, but I am going to go over this one time just to kind of smooth that out. So I feel like that does a really good blend right there. There is one little spot that's right here. So let's see if that fixes it. So on this one, maybe because the color is so much darker than I had anticipated off the top of my head, I'm going to start from the outside and go towards the color rather than dragging the color in. And I think we'll get a better blend that way. So just going from the outside of the image into the color. And then that kind of keeps that highlight a little bit better. I mean, you still got the same theory on both, but it was easier to do it this way. Hey, Shelly. Welcome, welcome. Okay, Yellow Golds by Susie. Nice. Okay, that gets us that part done. How are you guys doing? Are we doing good? So you can catch up okay? Should I go to the eyes next and then come around to do more later? I'll give you a chance to keep catching up. Okay, I'm going to grab the two fluorescent colors, the two blue fluorescent colors that I had, and I'm going to work on the eyes first. So those eyes are going to pop while we're playing. So up here at the top, I want to put this really dark color. And I'm going to go about a third of the way from the top. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. It's okay that we're covering up that white because we'll just use the white gel pen to make it circular again. And then this side doesn't come all the way up. You can't see it because of the bridge of the nose. So I am on this side going to go about 3/4 that way, leaving a small area right here for our highlight. Now, because this goes 3/4 of the way, I think I'm going to touch just a tad bit over here. But if you're nervous about that tiny of a spot, then just leave it alone. And use the next color instead. So this is the FBG2. I feel like that blue doesn't really look as fluorescent as this blue does. So I felt okay using it, but the brightness you'll get when you mix the two together is pretty awesome. So I'm going to start at the bottom and just do this like in between. And we need to blend that out a little bit. So I'm going to just keep working that line just gently. And then I am going to go over the dark one more time. So it's going to kind of give us a darker up here and a lighter in the center. Now, because we're only using 2 markers, we are going to have to do this a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and leave the cap off my marker. I'm going to use the FB2 again to deepen this up, only I'm not going to go quite as far as I went the last time. Just going to go slightly shorter. And this is just deepening that eye so it's not as pastel. But if you like yours from the first round, go ahead and stick with it. This time, I'm not going to go all the way over everything. I'm only going to touch this FBG2 on the line, meetup line area. Just really ever so lightly. So I want to keep that really light. I just want to soften that meetup line. And there we go. We have some really bright, glossy eyes. I love them. So there's 2 ways that you can enhance them. You can use the BG00, which will put a slight bit of green in there. I want them to stay blue though, so I'm not going to do that. But you can also grab a colorless blender and you can just kind of lightly touch once or twice right in the really light blue area, and it will lighten it up even a tad bit more. And that'll just make it glow a little more. And you'll see that when we put all the dark color around it. Right now you can't see it quite as well as you'll be able to see it once we get everything colored in, but it does give that light glow right here, which is what we want, so that they look more glassy. So there we go. Okay, now we're ready to do all of the cool things, the body, the feathers, all that stuff. So earlier in the live, I mentioned that we were going to use W3. This is the moment where we're going to use that W3. So I'm just, if you watch these videos a lot, you get used to some of the techniques that I use because they're made for me. I made them up for me. And one of them is when we do skin tone, we usually grab an E000 when we put a base coat down. That's what we're going to do with this W3 on the back side of this lion area. So I'm going to start right here. And it doesn't have to be brush stroked in there or any fancy nothing. Just get that base coat color in there. So I'm just going to do it kind of quickly here. And don't forget this foot over here. And then because we're going to do these little toenails in the blue, I'm just going to put a little bit right up there where the claw meets the skin, just to keep that part darker as well. So I missed the spot right there. Don't worry, when it dries, it'll be fine. So that's just the base coat for underpainting the color. Now we're going to switch over to our BG, and we're going to start with BG 78. We're going to go to 75. We're going to go to 72, and then we're going to pull this FBG2 back out, this fluorescent color. See if you can see it better with the... We're going to pull this fluorescent color back out, and we're going to use this on the tips of the feathers here and here. So just around the edges, not anywhere else. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in our lineup here. Who's excited? And then the other colors we have already used. So this is where we are. Putting those here helps with the lighting. It helps stabilize the lighting in the picture. So that's helpful. And I'm always going to put the cap in there so you can see which color I'm working on. Should you look down to work on your project and look back up, you'll be able to see that I'm still using the same color, just to make sure I don't switch colors and you missed it because you were looking at your projects. So we always do that. My markers are Asani. I think that's how you say it, Asani. But as long as they're alcohol markers, they should still blend. Just choose 3 colors that go together. You'll need a 4th highlight. But other than that, you should be good. So we're going to start down here and do this part of the body first, since we have that base coat on there. So starting like we normally do, we're going to do underneath this wingspan right here, just adding a little bit. And I'm going back and adding some lines that don't stop all in the same spot. It blends better if you don't stop all at the same space. Like if you're putting it on there and you just do like this straight line like this, the colors don't mix as well as they do if your lines are in between, and it can mix the light color with the dark color. Hence the reason everyone talks about these flicking motion, because you'll come in with the other color and flick the other way, and then, oh, I guess I should lay my marker down. Flick the other way, and then these colors, the chemicals, they start to mix together and become very happy, which makes them blend as long as your colors blend great. So that is the reason why the flicking motion is so important. I'm going to go around the inside of that leg. I'm going to go right behind this front leg, a little bit over here. There's a teeny tiny back of the other foot. We're just going to make that the darkest color. And then right here along the body and along the foot, and a little bit on the back side of this one. So it's all kind of hidden back there and in shadow. So a lot of that is going to remain dark. I'm going to put a little bit right here above that foot, and then on the back of the heel and underneath the toes. And I'm going to keep that little rounded shape so that we keep that shape as we go along. Hello, Reagan. All right, next we're going to pull out the BG75. Mine doesn't have my name on it because it's a brand new marker because I mixed 78 in the 75 when I was refilling it. So now my old 75 was 78. So I had 78 and almost 78. Okay, so we're going to keep going, extending a little bit further now down into the leg, around the back side of the body. This is a lot lighter than the other color. That's why I wanted the gray underneath. I'm going to go up from this part of the leg, around the edge of the leg. I'm going to come a little bit down from here. I'm going to come up from down here and curve around each little toe, curving around. And then this part in here, I'm just going to do it back and forth and fill all that in because I want to keep that really dark. And same with this side. I'm not going to put any highlight on this because it is all in shadow. So the only part that's going to get any highlight is like the tip of these toes and some of this part right here. I'm going to go over this one more time just because I feel like it's a little bit lighter than I wanted it to be. So there we go. We will blend with the next color. We will not be using the highlight on this part of the Griffin. So if any of you watch my live with Lala this morning, that video mentioned happening tomorrow is being delayed and replaced with something else. Is still happening this week, just delayed a bit. Oh, okay, Reagan. I'm going to be on there Friday morning. I'm going to be on with Lala Friday morning. Okay, BG72. Okay, BG72, we're just going to go back and forth over that open area. Get a lot of that ink in there. So use the side of your marker. The longer you sit on the paper, the more ink you put into the paper. And then give it a chance to blend out itself. I think we'll have to work those lines. But let's go ahead and do the foot next. A little bit of back and forth on that foot. It is a big jump from 75 to 72, but there is no in between unless you do tip to tip, which I don't really think we need. We just need to work that line a little bit. So I'm going to go over the whole thing one last time just to kind of blend that all together really nicely. I'm going to do the same thing with the foot. I'm going to put a little bit of this color over these back so I can see what they look like by wetting the paper one more time. So I can see how they're all going to mix together. And I think we're okay. I mean, this is fur, and we do know that it has a little bit of texture. If you don't like that line, just go over it one more time with the ink like this, just on the line. I can see it on camera, but I can't see it in real life. So I'm kind of looking at the screen and trying to blend it because to me, it all looks like it's blended perfectly. But on the camera, it does not. But in real life, it is. So let me see if I hold it up. Maybe it'll give you a better idea of what I see. Nope, it's still... It looks like there's a bit of a challenge right here and right there, but not in real life. Like in real life, when I look at it, it's blended nicely. And we'll try to smooth it out. Let me look.
Well, it's because the camera
picking up the...
It's 1080p camera.
Oh.
So it picks up more resolution. That's why your blends don't always look smooth on camera as they do in person, because the camera can pick up all the little differences.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh, that looks better, though.
We just have a good resolution camera.
We just have a good resolution camera. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm going to come back and work on the toes now. I'm going to go with the, and the ink is still wet too. Yeah, a little bit. BG78. I mean, I saturated it pretty good. See how much darker it is here? So it's saturated pretty good. I'm going to go with my marker upright and do the underside and the backside of each one of these little claws. If you're not able to get really tiny like that yet, just do the whole nail in one color. I'm going to add a second color, but only a second color. We're not doing 3 colors on this teeny tiny space. We don't need it. I'm going to use BG75 to blend that out. And I'm just going to do it from the outside in towards the color. This will just get my little claws done in the same color as the lion body. Since these are, you know, since it's a lion and an owl-ish, then that kind of mixes well with the skin tone. I agree, Sandy. And sometimes when editing photos, it does the same thing. It drives me crazy. Yes, Shelly, me too. I noticed it with photographs. I do have an if I edit them on my computer, I do have a soften the screen like thing that I can put over it that helps. It says soften it instead of sharpen it. And it helps take that off. So if you have a program that lets you soften, that's how I've worked around that grainy color due to the camera. Okay, now we're going to start on the feathers. Hopefully everyone is all caught up to the spot that we're at right now, because this is the part that's going to take us the longest to do, because there's a lot of detail and we're going to take our time. You can do it faster once you learn the process, but for right now, I'm going to go real slow so you guys can follow the process of how we're going to do this. I want some of the wings to match the lion body. I could do them in completely different colors, but my brain doesn't work very well with that. I like everything to be cohesive. It's kind of like the images that I'm doing right now that I can't show you yet because they're coming out for the new release. The other night I was asking Dale, what color do you think I should do this and that? And he's like, use this color and that color and this. I go, all on the same thing? Like all in the same, like taking the head, all in the same. Really? And he was like, yeah, you got to do it. But it was hard for me because I like everything to stay kind of cohesive. So I don't do that very often, but that's a me thing. Going to start with BG78 again. I hope this is helping you guys that I'm using such a small amount of markers. I've really scaled it down from what I normally use to make this a little bit easier for you guys. We'll get to some that'll have a whole lot more, like Thursday night. Get ready because we're going to have a lot of markers with that one because we want to blend rainbow-ish colors. So we're going to need colors that are by themselves and then colors that the colors that make the two mix together, which we'll go over on Thursday night. But if you want to see a rainbow effect, we are going to do either the hair or the wings in rainbow. I haven't decided which one, but one of them is going to be a rainbow color. Okay, I'm going to start with this guy. And what I want to find is wherever the deepest, darkest shadow colors are going to be. Before we conquer the face, I'm going to work on the body and the wings. And then we'll do the face last. Okay? So let's start right underneath his chin. I'm going to put brush strokes in a little pointed type manner. So I'm holding my marker upright, not completely, because then you can't see what I'm doing. See? So I'm holding mine a little to an angle, but you'll want to hold yours upright as much as you can to get the skinniest lines. So we're just adding these little lines. This is what's going to keep the fur look as we go along. The bigger the feather is, the more of these brush strokes you'll need to have. So one in each one of those little ones, and then I put 2 in that one and 2 in that one in this one in this one, and then a teeny tiny one on the end. And we're going to keep going with that, okay? In here, right where this line dips in, that's where we're going to start our line and pull down. This one, and I'm going to do an extra one right there. On here, I'm going to do 2. Here, I'm probably going to do 3 or 4. Here, and then a little extended one here. And I missed this one, so we got to have a little one there. And then because those are fluffy feathers and this is more like the body feathers, I'm going to get a little bit thicker up underneath this line. So I'm going to put a bunch more all close together to kind of deepen up that line right there underneath that layer. And along the back side of that wing. So there we go. We have that one. And then I also want to put like a small line right here just to emphasize some depth there. And then we're going to do underneath this line of fur right here. And then I'm going to leave the rest. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's not true. I'm going to do this one as well. Just a little bit right down here. Because you can see that this overlaps that. So anytime you see it overlap, like right here, these are just small little feathers, so we're not going to mess with those. But anytime you see a full line of overlap there, we got to have some depth in there. So that's where I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to start working on the wings one at a time. Let's do the shorter wing, then we'll do the longer wing. And what we want to look for is wherever the wings overlap. So we'll start at the top and work our way down. Okay. So we're going to start. I'm going to start with one fine line right here. And that's all I'm going to do with that one fine line. Then this wing set overlaps this tuft of hair right here. So I'm going to get some in between each one of those peaks. And that's it. I might do one little tick there, but then on the next layer where it overlaps, I'm just going to put a small little brush stroke down in each one. And then this one right here, I'm going to start up underneath here. I'm going to get some depth right along underneath those little feathers, and then I'm going to come in and add that one that extends down in each one. So hopefully that makes sense, but you can kind of see how that works out. Now I'm going to work on these outside feathers. I'm not going to do anything with that top layer. I'm only going to do this one. I'm going to get myself a few brush strokes in there, almost like one in each section. And then I'm going to do 3 in here as well for each one of those feathers. Not going to do anything from the edges up because that's where we're going to put the highlight on the tips of the edges because we're going to give him fluorescent blue tips. Okay. Whew. Do you feel better? Because here we're going to repeat on this side. So the repeat on this side is we're going to take this indented little feather right here, and that's where we're going to draw our one line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it in there, and you'll see why in the next step. But we're just going to put it in there. And then we're going to skip that first row of feathers, just like we did before, and we're going to get a little bit in between on this side. In between each one of those feathers until they get too crunched together. You can't get any color in there. And then we'll do a couple of little strokes on some of the big feathers. This side right here kind of starts building into the wing. So I added just a little bit there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This one, I'm just going to go up along that tip in each one of those indented areas and add a bit of this darkest color. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do each one of my little brush strokes. The higher up you hold the marker, the skinnier the brush stroke. Mine are a little thicker because I have to hold my marker to the side. I'm going to go around here and then putting that color in under each one of those feathers on this last row. So you just follow me along. Then we're going to go back and do that one brush stroke again. Now we have to do the outside ones, and as you can see, they both look the same. And look at the dimension you have already put in here. As long as you don't scrub back and forth when you put the next colors in, this is going to stand out like that when it's done. And you'll love it. Clyde, one of my cats, is fascinated with the coloring. Oh, I can't wait to see that picture. Okay, so next we're going to do that one brush stroke on this second layer because we're not going to do anything with that top layer. And then remember we did 3, 1 to the side, 1 to the center, and 1 down. And then on this last piece right here, 3, 1 from the edge, 1 from the center, 1 down. And that's it. That is it for the wings. Now, the face. So for the face, we're going to stay with somewhat of the same idea as down here. This is fur that's overlapping this fur, so we need to have that same idea. So I'm going to start putting on the underside of each one of these this dark color. That's going to just start the shadow. Then I'm going to do just a very tiny brush stroke from the center of each one of those, and I'm just going to leave it like that. This one also has a bit of shadow right there, so I'm going to add that in. Then I'm going to turn my picture a little bit. I'm not going to go from any of these edges just yet. We'll worry about those later. Right here is another tuft of hair, so we need a bit of dark behind those. And then a couple of little lines that come out from there. Same thing with this one. Round the shadow goes in the little V area. And then from the center of that area into our feathers, we're just going to put a light line. You don't even have to do a dark one or a whole lot. Just get a little bit of color in there. Don't worry, we will worry about the rest of the color in a little while. So right here doesn't show the feathers because I didn't want to draw like a million feathers on here, but we are going to put a few little lines in here to keep that same idea of that being an overlap right there. We're going to keep turning his head. We're going to keep this by adding a few little brush strokes there, then behind these feathers down around this side. And then I'm just going to do a few tiny brush strokes right there to kind of build that shape around the face. Going to put them behind these feathers. Adding just a few of those brush strokes. Hopefully this breakdown is helping a lot. We have 2 here. So I'm just going to put a couple of little brush strokes in between those and maybe a few on the side, kind of in a curve. So it looks like it's moving around his forehead. It just kind of gives it a little bit of feathery look. How is packing up cards for your cancer patients? Oh, that's a great question. And then we're going to keep going. We want to get a little bit here. Right there along the head, extend a few into there. We have this little area right here that overlaps this wing in the back and this one. So we need some depth and then a brush stroke. that kind of starts building that whole feathering around his face. Now, we also want to give him a little bit along this forehead area right here. So I'm going to kind of go down just a little bit right there just to get that color in there. And then because this is the back side of his face, I want to get just a little bit. So I'm going to kind of put this little rounded piece right here by the beak, and then one little line up from where the points are on the artist drawn lines. Not going to worry about any of this down here for right now. We'll deal with that with the next color. So this is the first color. So if you're following along, you'll want to grab your BG75 next. That is going to be our next color. And when I'm coloring, if I lay the markers here, if I don't put them in the color stand, which you can't see when it's zoomed in, so that's why it's not in the color stand. I lay my markers in the order I'm going to use them. So this one was here. And then I used this one, so I move it to the back. So each time I don't pick up the wrong marker. That's just a personal preference. You can do it however it works for you, but I've picked up the wrong marker before and it's not fun. All right, now we're going to go all the way back to the beginning steps that we did before. We're going to start under his chin with the BG75, only this time you want to make sure you try not to go over any of the lines that are already on here. What we want to do is focus on going in between all of the areas that we put color. It's okay if it's right next to it. It's okay if there's still a white space. You just want to get that color in there. And no blending. Just do it with one quick swipe. Don't blend them together. This is how we're going to keep that fur look. Follow along the underside of the tuft of hair above. Just keep going around, filling that in. Just like that. That gets that whole tuft right there done. Now we're going to start working on this part down here. We're going to use a little bit more design down here. So I just did a few brush strokes straight from where that darkest color was. I'm going to do it down here too. And then I'm going to do it down a little bit there. And we have these pieces down here. Just going to add a little bit in between. Now we need to work on this. And we would think, how are we going to do fur? I don't have a whole bunch of layers. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell you right now. So we're going to follow these pointed arrows, point wherever the feather comes in to a point, and we're going to brush stroke that up. Even these, up, up, this one up, up, right there, right there. So we're kind of going around the outside now, except for these areas. Oops, I touched it. Dang it. These areas right here, we're not doing around the edge of those feathers. We're only doing in between each feather, except for that mess up right there. Which, by the way, I think I'm going to lighten that up because it's going to show up too much because it's a darker color. So this is my colorless blender, and I'm just going to sweep back and forth over it just to lighten that spot up. I'm going to give it a second or so to dry, and then I'm going to do it one more time just to push that color around. I'll come back later if I need to, but I think I'm going to be good. So if you drop your marker or touch a marker on your paper, that's how you can fix that little mess up. Okay, we're going to follow the same thing here. I want the brush strokes going up from when the darkest spot is. I didn't have to do too much with that. Don't do the tips of these because we're going to do them in a different color. So where this points up. We're going to get that brush stroke in there. This one right along the leg needs to be a little darker. But other than that, we do want to do the edge of these underside ones because they're not going to get that fluorescent color down here, just on the feathers, not on the body. All right, let's start on this wing over here. It looks like I need one more right there. Okay, I'm going to start with this line that we put in, and I'm going to make one brush stroke, tiny, tiny flick off of that line into these feathers. That is all I'm going to do with the top row. We just did it with a lighter color rather than the first darkest colors. Oh, you're loving the colors? Yay! I wanted to do it a little different, but you can really do this same process with any colors you want. So this teeny tiny area in here, I'm just putting a little brush strokes in there, no rhyme or reason, kind of in between where I put them before. You can do it kind of fast. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, Sandy asked me at the beginning or before the live, what color should she do to make the Griffin? And I described all the colors, and she was like, so you want me to do it just like the package? I'm like, that's what the package looks like? Oops. It's like, well, do a blue, blue, green. It's fantasy. It could be any color you want.
Yeah, he was like, light browns, dark browns. I was like, oh, so you want me to color it like the package? So then it said blue, green, and here's where we are. For these feathers on the outside, just remember you want your brush stroke to be not over top of the other one, but beside it. We don't want to wash out the color we already have. So we're just adding a little bit there. All that did was, see how solid and harsh this looks? And now it looks softened a little bit. Fluffy, if you will. Ready for the next side? Here we go. I'm going to turn it upside down. It'll be a little easier for me to do these brush strokes off of that line.
Beth said they're Seahawk colors.
Oh, they are Seahawk colors. I'm not a sports person, so I know. Seattle, I think. I'm not a football person, so I don't usually think of like football colors. I mean, I'm not oblivious to sports and colors, but I just don't think in sporting event colors. Again, on these ones, we're doing the same thing. We're going in between. We're just kind of starting to fill this in a little bit. Sometimes I touch the paper. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes my brush stroke is too light. I have to do it more than once. But I'm really only putting like one line in each one. Sometimes I hover and I don't touch the paper, so I have to do it a second time. This in between stuff here to fill that in. And then same thing down here. It's a lighter color, so it does the work itself for you. But look at all the dimension you now have in this flat image that you had on paper. Now it's starting to give it some life. Seahawk colors, Dale. Okay, now we're going to start working on the face. I'm going to keep this part more smooth than any of the feathers around it. I just kind of like it. It'll have a little bit of fluff, but it won't be as fluffy as the rest of him. Hey, Drea. Tamara. Hello, Tamara. Tammy's here. Thanks for popping in, guys. Here we go. Time to work on the face. Now, I'm going to start here, but when I come around, I'm going to need to do stuff to this underside. But we're going to start where we started before so you can stay with that same pattern. Right here, I'm going to add those brush strokes into those lower little feathers. And then I'm going to add more along this edge. Just extending them out, but try not to put them over top of the ones you already had in there. If you accidentally do, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Just don't do it on all of them. So this is in between, extending these a little bit more, extending these. This will make it look natural. I'm going to keep going as long as I can see this pattern, and then I'll come back. I'll do this one. I'll do a little bit here because there are some feathers there. I'm going to extend here just so I keep going around the face to keep that feathery look. There are some here as well. So I'm going to do out from the points just like we did before, starting to build in towards the center of the face. So now you can start seeing this part building in as well. I'm going to go a little further out on these. I need a little bit more up in here. Up in here. I bet you Dre is singing. Here we go. We're going to follow that around on all these sections right here. Just keep going. And this one little one back here. This one. And that tiny one on the edge. Now, we're going to start. I'm going to start down here. Going to extend that in right there on the edge of that one. I'm going to start doing each one of these up just a little bit. And then I'm going to do right here underneath the beak. I'm going to put a small line under the beak and right along here. And it's really thin, but I want to have it on there. I'm going to take it all the way to the eye. And then I'm going to put a few little brush strokes out from here as well and make sure they don't all end in the same spot. That will keep the fur look as well. So we have to start building something out to meet up with whatever's coming from the top. We got to have something here to meet. Okay, on this side, we're going to add a few extra in there and then right along that edge. For over here on this side, I want to keep that more smooth. So I'm going to just extend it all the way down and start building that in. It's going to be more of a shadow zone over there. So I'm not going to do too awful much with that. I think I want to add just a tad bit of depth right here around this eye. If you're nervous about that, don't do it. Just wait till we'll do it with the next color, but I wanted to add just a little bit more shadow on that. So that was color number 2. Now we're going to go to color number 3, which is the BG72. He already looks fluffy. Doesn't he look fluffy? So you want to be really careful with this one. This one has more colorless blender in it. So you don't want to sit on the paper too long. You want to do this in small brush strokes, but you want to stay closer to the top part of all the feathers. Like we don't want to do too much down here because we want that to be a lighter color, but we want it to blend. So this one will extend just a teeny bit, but I won't be touching any of those. But I will go around the beak. Then I'm filling in anything that was missed in the first 2 colors that's up close to the neck.
I've struggled on this one doing it in colored pencils. I think that your technique is going to translate well going back over it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because it's technically what you're learning right now is the technique, not how to use this color marker. My lines are definitely not as fine as Sandy's. Well, they will be in time. I've done it for a long time, and you make really good fine lines. So you're probably pretty close, Susie. And that is just practice.
Yeah, I have to put a lot of practice into this piece of controlling those strokes.
Yep. And once, I promise you, you'll know when it clicks for you. When your body clicks with the motion and knows to just automatically do it, you'll know when that happens, because all of a sudden you'll be like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. I just colored that in. I mean, it's almost an aha moment, and most people notice pretty close to when it happens for them.
That in the practice builds the muscle memory.
Exactly. Okay, so we left the tips on a bunch of those. We don't want any tips down here. I'm not doing any of these tips in the light color, only right around fluffy and right around wings. So the rest of this bottom part's going to get filled in with this color. So I'm going to start from the tip of the wing and brush into it, making sure I cover every bit of the color, but not a back and forth motion. You want to still see all of that feather. So it really is just a light brush stroke with a very light pressure just to get that color in there. If you have spots that you missed color up there, you need to add them in there too. That's what I was doing when I just kind of touch in these small areas. That's enough distinguished right there, but it's not going to have the light tips like the rest of it. That's what's going to make the wings stand out, is putting the light color on the tips. Again, from the bottom up into the darker color. And now this part is pretty much done. This part we still have tips, and now we're going to start working on this wing. So starting again from that line we drew in, we're going to start going all the way along that line. If it's easier for you to do it this way, do it that way. I'm going to do up just a little bit from both sides, leaving the top of that for the highlight color, and then just adding a little bit in here, leaving the tips for that light color. Now this row in here that's so tiny, that one we're going to fill in. It doesn't have any large feathers for us to really put any accent. So this is going to be more like a tuft of fur between the feathers. Then we're going to come up here and just towards the top, we're going to fill in any top part that didn't have color and leave the tips for the last one. So we're just kind of filling in any white spaces we have here, like right there, right there. And then because these are so light, I want to get just a little bit of color in there. So I'm just doing a little tiny brush stroke into that wing stuff so it'll mix with the highlight color. Up here, I have enough down here in these that I don't have to put a brush stroke down there. But that leaves us the remaining step to go. It's like learning to paint my nails the first time. I was a train wreck. Yes, it is. It is like that. Okay, this top of the wing up here, this part right here, I'm going to color most of that in. A little bit on the tip. And then we'll save that top portion right there to go over with the lightest color. Now starting with this set of wings right here, we're going to go all along that line, extending into the little wing, but leaving the tip area. And then into these a little bit. And then this one, again, we're just filling that little tuft right there of that little second layer. We're just filling that one in. It's too tiny to be doing too much with it. This one here, filling that in, leaving just the tips. This one needs a tad bit more. You can look at it. If you see a huge white chunk, you need to add a little bit to it. That's going to be an eyeball judging on your part. There we go. Now all we have to do on this last feather is get anything up close filled in, and then fill in these. Looks like this one I almost got far enough. There we go. Now we have both wings done, so now it's time to work on the face. Don't forget to hit the like button super close to everyone doing it. Yay, that's awesome. Thank you, Tamara. Okay, now I am going to start at the bottom, go all the way around the face. Okay, we'll do these feathers in a minute, but I want to do all my brush strokes in between, extending the one on the pointed area and doing one in between, extending the pointed area and one in between. This is almost going to get you to the eye. Don't go into the eye. Do not go into the eye. We're going to keep going around the face, extending. When you get to this part right here, we got to leave those little tips, so don't color those in. You'll have to reverse the direction you're coloring so you don't color in those, because you want to do those tips with the light color. Going to start working these brush strokes down towards the nose, in the angle towards the nose, so we can keep that motion going. There we go. We came down a little bit further on this side, so I need to extend these. Remember when we built those little lines right there? We want to extend from that spot as well. So we did from here. Now we're going to extend from these smaller marks that we put in there. And it's not in every single, it's not a solid color. It's a skipping around. So there's still some white area within there that will mix with that last color to get that solid look. Okay, now we're going to come around this side right here, add a little bit in there. We definitely want to do over the beak and under the eye. And then you don't want to leave a line there, so try to build some brush strokes from that. We're going to come down from the beak here, staying in the direction of the fur. Up from the beak, so that we can start getting close to meeting up to that at the top. This is going to start building in that fur in that area that doesn't have fur. Then I'm going to do a little bit from under the eye. So I'm going to build a little fence there with this color so I don't go into the eye. And just brush stroke back into the color. That gets some color on the whole face. I noticed that I need to go over top of this eye a little bit because I'm not met up with each section, like they're not meeting up together. So I had to build just a little bit more in there. Now we're going to go around for this fur. And again, we're going to leave all these tips alone. So we're really just filling in, remember, any white space closest to where the fur overlaps. And just filling in that white space. And keep going. I would say once you get in one area, keep going in that area until you get it done so you don't miss anything. And then you can come back around to the other area. So here's this one. I need to get that kind of started right here. Coming back around now. I need an extra one a little bit longer in there. Right along this base. Get that filled in. And that gets us ready for our last color. This one takes the process is a little tedious, but the payoff is amazing. Now we could have used the VG70, which is the next lightest color in that color combination, but let me tell you what you get. This is 78, 75, 72. This is 70. You almost can't even see it. And this is the FBG2. So it's darker than the lightest color. So we have to be a little careful with that. But it's a whole different tone of color that's going to make this really shine. So we may do the blending of this with the BG70, or we're going to have to do a tip to tip because this will just be overpowering and way too dark for this area right around his face. So let's start with the tips. So I'm going to turn him upside down. That'll make it the easiest way for you to do this. And as long as you don't put a lot of ink on the paper, it'll stay really light. You could do this color with pink, yellow, purple, any color you want. So I'm going to start at the bottom of this wing. And I'm just going to touch the tips and brush that color right into the color that's already there. This is the easiest cross color blending because we don't need that to blend together. We just need to add that color in there. We don't have to blend it because we want to see all those brush strokes. So now we're doing the second set of feathers, and literally I'm only touching it maybe once, maybe twice, and with a really light pressure. Most coloring is light pressure, really, really light. And that was hard for me to learn because I'm a heavy-handed person. I have the proof in the calluses on my finger that I got when I was in school because I was always holding my pencil too tight and writing too hard on the paper. I'm going to go along this top area right here just to get that part in there. Now, I don't know if this is showing the amazing color variation on camera, but it is so pretty. Look at that. It's so pretty. It's not obnoxious. It's not out there in your face, but it's enough to make it really beautiful. If you're coloring along with me, you know exactly what I mean. I'm going to put my guy upside down again, and now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do this center section here. So these ones, we wanted to have this color. This one, this one, this one, here, all along this tuft right here. I left a little more white here, so it's a little more obvious. We missed this one. Now we're going to go to this outside wing. This is the easiest part because you're really just filling in the white with a different color. And I love these fluorescent colors. I don't think they get enough love. I think a lot of people don't use them because they just think, oh, well, there's only one. I mean, it doesn't match with anything, but it really matches with a lot. You just have to mix it together. I'm going to go along the top here, then from the bottom into the color. There we go. Yay! Definitely shows the color. Oh, good. Beautiful colors. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Love the eyes with the fur. Yeah. And the eyes are more blue, but still, because this is blue-green, still enough for it to all go beautiful together. Okay. I'm going to start on the outside because I want to make my decision on the inside of this fur once I see what this looks like. Because I was just going to use it on all of it, but now I'm not quite sure. Okay, around the edges, we're just going to brush that color. In all the way around. I'm going to do these outside pieces first. There's a few spots I missed with the other marker, so I'm just touching in there to fill those in. like a few little teeny tiny white spots I can see now that I couldn't see before. So I'm just filling them in with this marker, like right there. Now I'm going to do this set right here. This is the part that makes it go wow, and it's also the easiest part of the whole process. Because you can use the side of your marker, you don't even just touch it lightly. You don't even have to really think about what you're doing. Just coloring in any of the white space. Ooh, 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 so pretty. The difference between my phone screen and my TV screen is remarkable. Oh, that's great to know. I know it's harder to see on the phone than it is on the rest. I think I'm just going to wing this. We're just going to keep going with this color as anticipated in the beginning and hope that it works. So I'm going to do this little piece over here. And then I'm going to start coming around. This was my intent. I'm going to stick with it, even though I was questioning myself. Since this isn't all colored in, we have to fill in one light coat over everything because we didn't start with the darkest color in the face. And I don't think it really matters which direction you're coming from as long as you stay in the shape of the face. So around the eye, I'm going from the eye out because I don't want to get this in the white of his eyeball. And then up here, I'm coming back in to meet that color just so I can keep everything colored in. From the eyeball out, just to make sure I keep that going. Oh, I'm glad I stayed with it. I like it. It looks like I need a few more in here, so I'm adding just a random brush strokes. It'll keep with the fur and it'll line everything up, and I love it. It looks so pretty. And looky. Okay, this little guy was stamped, so you guys know I like that eyeball to be really black, not just whatever stamp color you use. So I'm going to use a multi-liner real quick, and I'm going to color in that black part of his eye with this multi-liner. We'll come back and do the gel pen over the white area when we get done. But I really like to fill in the eye with the black pen so it stands out a little bit more. I don't do any other part, just the pupil of the eye. I don't do around the edges or anything. I just want those eyes to really, really stand out. And when I put the white gel pen in, that will make everything come together the way that we want it to. And we'll add a little bit more. I don't use a lot of white gel pen, but I use enough. Okay, next, I'm going to grab the background and we're going to build the card, and then we'll add this little guy on there. He was very detailed, so I knew he was going to take a little longer than the rest, but no worries at all.
Carla asked where to get the black pens.
The black pen that you can use, like, you can buy this kind, which is, if you use Copic, this is a Copic multi-liner. So you can use, let me zoom out a little bit so you can, okay, there we go. So this is the Copic multi-liner. It's in a silver barrel. This is the nib, and the ink is replaceable. If you want the cheaper version, you can buy it like this, called the Copic multi-liner. You can buy it in a lot of different nib sizes. But my favorite right now is this one, which is really cheap. It's called the Le Pen, Lepen. It's permanent, but you have to make sure it says alcohol based ink. There are Le Pens that say permanent that look just like this, but do not say alcohol based ink. I got mine on the Marvy Ucida website, MarvyUchida. And it comes in a set of 3. You cannot buy it individually, which is frustrating, but it comes in a set of 3. I have 2 of them on my desk. One is like this. It's like a felt point. This is the one I use for what you're doing, which is a very fine tip point. And then there's a really bold one as well, which is a really thick, that I would use for dots in the background and stuff. I wouldn't use it for any of this type of purposes, but you can use any of those. And then some people have used things like, you can use this one if you have any of these. Stedler triple or tri plus fine liner. This one also works for Copics. I think most brands have them. Just make sure they work with alcohol inks, because that's really your key. Now I'm going to grab my white gel pen and do his eye real quick that way it can dry. So what I'm going to do is the full circle that we had before, it was at the edge of his eye. So I'm just going to put that back in just like this. And then if we want, we can add just a little bit on the beak for fun. And then, you can put just a tad on the toes if you want. You can add some to the top of the wings if you want to add just a little bit of white along there. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not real big on adding gel pen, mostly because I never know where to put it. But I just don't know where I want to put it. I like my color, my image, so I just stick with that. But you can add it all over. Follow Susie if you want to see the best way to use a white gel pen without fear, because Susie's spectacular at it, but I'm not. So I usually just do the basics and that's it. So we're going to take our little guy and we're going to put him over here so we can get our card prepared real quick and get him on there, because I know Happy Crafty Ho is going to be going live in a little while and I don't want to cross over the lives because I like to join the lives over there. So I always have my card bases ready. I'm basically an A2 girl. I don't usually do other size cards. This is my favorite one to mail. It's easy, it's fast, it's quick. It just works for me. Whatever size you like, do you. I just have a whole bunch of card bases pre-cut, and cutting them with a top fold doesn't really sit in the organization I have for all of my card bases. It's too long when I cut the paper for a top fold. So I've just gotten used to a side fold. Every now and then I'll randomly do a top fold, but for the most part, it's a side fold. And it's either landscape or portrait. And it's A2 because it's what I like. But you can certainly do this in whatever you like. I'm going to press this one more time now that I had it open for a little bit so it lays completely flat. Remember we talked earlier that I had another green that I had cut like 1/8 of an inch smaller so it would matte on top of this green, just give us a little bit of 2 different green looks. Hey, Leanne. And oh, the Dolly Parton. Yeah, that's super sad. I can't talk about that right now. It makes me. Anyway, this one is cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than that green. And then I die cut it with this shape, but I still want to use that. So I'm going to see if there's a way we can do it. I saved the pieces because I just wasn't sure it would work.
Are you just going to pop up that middle part?
Yes, I am. Just going to pop up that middle part. So if I put this on the card base 1/8 of an inch, I want to see, does this fit in it? Yeah, pretty close. So what I want to do is make it a little bit shorter. So instead of coming down about 1/8 of an inch, I want to come down about 1/4 of an inch. That way this will fit over it a little bit more. Maybe I'll even come down just a tap and up just a tad bit more. I just want to make sure this center piece really covers all the cut lines so I don't have any issues with that. Yeah, but I wanted to use that because if you just look at this, it's just not, it's still okay, but it just doesn't look as good as it does with the rest of the background. So that is why I decided to save those pieces and cut it. And plus, then there's no scraps because we're going to use this piece.
We could potentially use the stencil.
Yes, you could use the stencil as well. I just didn't want to waste this paper. So I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to eyeball this. I'm not going to measure it. I'm not going to anything. I'm just going to eyeball it and hope it works. I'm okay with taking the chance. What happens if it doesn't work? It's just paper and we haven't put the little guy on there yet, so we don't have to put him down until we like it. So nothing lost, adventure gained. Experimental cards. I love it. We use lots of Dolly songs for clogging. Oh, yeah, I bet you do. I mean, I always listened to her when I was young. I really liked her music.
I watched that Netflix show again. What is it? Pudding?
It wasn't called, no, it was called something else. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, I wish I could remember the name of that. Dumpling.
Dumpling.
If you haven't seen that show Dumpling, it's almost like a tribute to Dolly on that movie, and it's so cute. But they talk about Dolly Parton a lot. The main character is a huge Dolly fan. And it's a really cute show. Okay, so it's going to work. Very happy about that. So I can attach this part now to the card base. I went up slightly higher on the bottom piece than the top piece. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So it's not a perfect card, but hey, it's handcrafted, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you look here, there's a little bit more space than here. It's not real obvious, so I'm fine with it as is. This looks like a really silly card like this. I'm going to flip this over so I can press it a little bit harder without messing up anything. But it works. Then this one is where we're going to start adding our stuff. So, oh, he looks so pretty on the blue. It's the perfect choice. Way to go, hubby. So you could put it over here if you want to see the castle. I was originally going to put it over here, but I think I'm going to put it over here now so I can see the castle in the background because I really like that. And then we could use hello, or we could use wings up. It's time to celebrate you. Or we could use take flight and chase your dreams. I don't know which one. Let's attach it to the card first, and I'll decide from there which one fits the best. We could also put it on the other paper and leave the scene alone. That's kind of up to us on what we want to do. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to place it over here so we can still see our castle. And then I just need a piece to go underneath that die cut. I could die cut this out, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to eyeball it from here. Where's my big scissors so I can cut faster? So I'm just going to cut about right here. This should be my centerpiece that I need that'll go in the center. And then I'm going to cut off these edges so we don't have any issues with that. And then I'll use those extra pieces I cut off to fill in the sides. So just like this, that pretty much works without anything hanging over the edge. So that worked pretty good. And then if I need extra pieces along the side and the top, I can use these. Because, you know, you don't want to waste any of that stuff. So we'll just keep that. But for now, I can flip this over. Let's turn it just a little bit. Yeah, I'm a little bit off. So I'm going to cut a smaller strip off the bottom. It's okay. We can always use this stuff, so no worries.
My mom found this.
Yay! Hello, Phyllis. So there we go. I think that's enough to put this on there without anything hanging over. So that works pretty perfectly. So I'm going to take this off, stick it on here. As long as I focus on nothing hanging over at the top, we should be good at the bottom. These little pieces I cut off last are perfect for just filling in a small piece on the edge. I cut 2 of them off, so they work perfectly. This one will go here, and that will be all I need. This one, I think this one's a little long. So we'll put this one down here. You know, we're not going to waste any of these little pieces. So this little piece I cut off going to go at the top. Then I have one more strip that I cut, so I'm just going to trim that one off. I have a little Ziploc bag that I keep, and I throw all these pieces in, and when I just need to put smaller pieces down, I use every bit of these sheets when I buy them, so I love that. I never throw any foam tape away. That's perfect. And I used the die to help me cut that out, so that worked out really great. All right, we'll put it on the card, and then we'll choose sentiment, and I might add a little bling. I do like how this is turning out. I hope you guys like it too. I hope yours turned out well. I hope you will share your progress picture in our Facebook group, Fan of Doux Designs. We'd love to see you on your journey to coloring and how you're doing. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or come visit our Facebook page. I love this. This is almost a reverse of the card we did last week where we inset, where we double popped. We popped the outside, then inset, then popped this one. But this time we placed everything flat and popped up just the scene we want everyone to look at. We can now place this anywhere we want. It doesn't have to be within that little space. So I could just put hello up there in the trees. I could put the hello on this side and then say, take flight and chase your dreams. I could put it down here. Oh, I kind of like it down there. I think I'm going to put both of them on there. I've been doing a lot of birthday cards lately, so I think I want to go with the encouragement card instead. And I can just add a little piece of this foam tape.
Yeah, if you're doing a birthday card, you could use the like cupcake from the ephemera.
Yeah. In case you couldn't hear him, Dale was saying there's cupcakes and stuff from the ephemera. So if I was making a birthday card, I could put a cupcake or a cake right here and it would be perfect. But I think I'm going to stick with encouragement. I have a little bit too long here, which is good because I need this little tiny piece for this tip right here. Then we'll just put glue on this side. We'll be able to set it right here and it will pop up on the part that's hanging off and stick to the part that's not. So that'll work out great. So don't be afraid to place your sentiments anywhere you want. You can also stamp. You can stamp on the glossy paper. You just have to use a more permanent ink and give it a chance to dry, and be careful not to slide your stamp when you're stamping. So a platform works a little better for that type of stamping on semi-glossy paper. It looks like I have this little spot that dips down and that drives me crazy. So I'm going to cut another small piece and just stick it under there because I just don't like it. I don't like it when it does that. So I'm just going to use my tweezers, especially if I'm mailing and something sticks like that. Or sinks down like that. It can be flat when it arrives to the person if you don't have some of this foam tape, and I hate that. So I just remove the foam tape from both sides, and then I'm just going to lift this up, stick this one down in there, and then attach it. And there we go. I have a little piece sticking out, so we'll just tuck that in, and we're all good. Now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to still put the hello. I like the hello, and I'm going to put it at a little bit of an angle. And then I might add a couple bling, and we will be finito. What do you guys think? Did you like this card? Isn't it just so cute? How about that technique process? Did you enjoy that? We have lots of resin dots in the shop, which is what I'm going to use today. I have some blue ones right here.
Well, I'm definitely going to go back and try your technique with the color pencils.
Really?
Yeah, since I was kind of struggling of trying to get that effect. I was just completely botching it up.
That's when you're new, it happens. Don't worry. Don't beat yourself up. Just try again. All right. I seem to be struggling with picking these up with my tweezers, so I'm going to use my tool. But we have these resin dots in the shop. Some of them are clear and some of them are not. It just depends on which ones you pick. But there are over 90 in the packet when you buy them. They're extremely reasonably priced. I believe they're only $4. You get over 90 of them. You get them in 3 sizes. And if you don't have a place to put your bling on your desk, this closes, keeps everything in where it's supposed to be. It also locks, so if you bump it on your desk, it's not going to go anywhere. If you shake it, they'll all stay where they're supposed to be. It's pretty epic, and I love it. So just saying. What's that? What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at you. Ever since I made that thing for you, you just love it.
I know I talk about it all the time, but I love it. I really, really love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite tool next to the soda press. Yes, see, even you knew which one I was going to go for. They don't have sticky on them. You have to glue them down, but don't worry. If you're using Barely Art glue, you just put the glue under there. It dries clear and you can't even see it under there, so it's perfect. I use it on all my cards so you know it works. Otherwise, why would I use it? I would not. I use all the products in the shop. This was a request. I wanted Dale to make this for me. make these for me before we opened the shop because I knew, tariffs and all that stuff. I couldn't order any of this kind of stuff from overseas. And I said, we have to have resin dots in our shop. We have to have them. We have to. So we make our own. If you ever have a request on a color or a specific one that you'd like, you can always request. If we can make that happen, we will. We will do our best. You just never know when we're contemplating the next color, the next design, the next style. But here we go. Here's our card for tonight. This is our beautiful blue-green Griffin. It matches perfectly. The paper works great. The card was simple to put together. It's just beautiful, quick and easy. That's the way I like it. The coloring is supposed to be your focal point. It is what you work so hard for. So I don't do a lot with the background other than the paper pad and the stuff that all coordinates, or the stencil, something super simple, because I really want your eye to go right to what I did. And in your case, what you did. So stick around. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel. There is more exciting stuff coming. Definitely this Thursday, there'll be a live. We will be coloring the Pegasus, and we will be using Ohuhu markers. I will be using the new numbers for Ohuhu. So I will be showing that. And yeah, so we'll have fun on Thursday. So come back and join us. If you want to go for some more late night fun, go hop on over to Happy Crafty Ho Ho and join us over there. I usually go there at night when I'm not working on a project I can't share. So I will see you guys on Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments. We greatly appreciate it. And you guys have a great evening. Good night.